Hello, and you are listening to the Tech and Tonic podcast, episode 16 of season 2. We are at episode 16. Yay. Anyway, this is a show where we talk about tech and we discuss all things tech and even games. Actually, because last week was E3. But anyway, you are joining me and Jeevan again to talk and discuss about all things tech. Hello.
Yep. Hello.
Yeah, so we always start with something that happened not something lah, but news about what happened last week. But to be fair, the biggest thing that happened last week and almost the only thing that happened last week of significance was actually E3 2021. There's a few other things that happened lah, obviously, right? Things like, Windows 11 leaking, that is quite a big thing also, but it's just a small leak that, just shows the early features of Windows 11, right? There's not much to it yet, but people are already starting to game on it or try to game on it at least. And we don't know, we haven't tried it yet. But it's not official, so we can't say too much about it or comment too much about it. Razer also launched the Opus X headphones. It's kind of like the budget version of their THX enabled Opus, and this one's a lot cheaper. It's still noise cancelling. Is at 500 ringgit, somewhere there, 500 ringgit to 549 ringgit, depending on where you get it, on Shopee or Razer.com. Honor finally launched their phone after breaking away from Huawei. They finally launched the Honor 50 series. This is not really a high-end device. Okay, it's packing a Snapdragon 778G. Am I correct? Yeah. It's a 5G smartphone, and it's not bad. Okay, it's quite budget friendly, and it comes with Android Play Store. Android 11 and Google Play Store at least. So that's some good news. At least your Honor smartphones will still come with those, right?
Yeah, and it's also not very weird for Honor to actually release a phone that is kind of mid-range. But at the same time, I was expecting a little bit more from the Honor 50.
I was expecting flagship. At least everyone was expecting flagship, but it's not. Right, for now at least. And I also suspect that it's also because they are trying to keep their prices down. It's an Honor device. They are always slightly cheaper than their Huawei counterparts. Right?
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, another budget smartphone maker decided to make a flagship device this time. And that brand is called Realme, and they made the Realme GT 5G. And the price is actually, if you convert it to Malaysian ringgit, it's just about 2,200 ringgit, somewhere there, after conversion from the euro. The euro price is, let me see, the euro price is 449 euros. But it comes with a Qualcomm Snapdragon 888 5G.
It's very impressive considering what we are getting right now.
Yeah, and you're not even paying near 3,000 ringgit for this. If you're getting it in Malaysia, we don't expect the price to go above 2,500. It's the cheapest Qualcomm Snapdragon 888 device you can find in the market. It's the cheapest flagship level device, if you might, right?
I think it's one of the only flagship level devices that is sub 2,700 ringgit.
It is the only. It is the only one that you can find. It's super cheap for its specs. So we don't understand how they do it, but it's really good. It's really cheap. You can try to check it out later on in Realme, or once they launch it here. It comes with Android 11 as well. Other things that happened. Leica also launched a phone, but it's only in Japan. They don't. It's not available anywhere else. Basically, the smartphone costs, in US dollars, it costs about 1,700, thereabouts. It packs also Qualcomm Snapdragon 888, but it doesn't come with like 4 or 5 cameras like you would expect from a Leica camera phone. It comes with one single sensor at the back that is 20 megapixel. But that
I
sensor is about the size of an inch. That's the tip of your finger.
I I'm actually quite interested to see how this sensor performs because in the smartphone world at least we're so used to, oh, this phone has 4 cameras, 5 cameras, 6 cameras, and apparently more is better. But Leica has decided no, we are going with one. A
It's
relatively low pixel count but large sensor.
Well, I wouldn't say it's low pixel count. 20 megapixel is actually quite a lot. Like you consider an APS-C or even mirrorless camera that you can get. Let's say a very high-end Alpha 7S, right? That's only 12 megapixel and that can give you really, really good images already. So I
Yep.
don't think it's fair to call it low megapixel count because it's not exactly 4, it's 20. It's still more than 12 that your standard smartphone usually gets, right? But the sensor size I think does make a lot of difference because the bigger the sensor is, I think we've spoken about this before, the better it is. The more light you get on the sensor itself. So
Yep.
we'll wait and see, but it's only a Japan exclusive phone, so I don't think we're gonna get any hands on here that soon anyway. Another thing that happened was Samsung launched their new Knox security thing. It's supposed to be slightly better, okay, but it's also explaining how Samsung is dealing with their security stuff within their Samsung Galaxy phones. And to be fair, it's quite clever, or at the same time, it's quite traditional kind of thing because they're using like a separate memory chip for the Knox security and stuff like that, and they have like extra security measures for both physical and software tampering, and quite clever lah. Okay, that kind of like puts Samsung ahead of a lot of other enterprise type of solutions in terms of security on your smartphone. At least in theory, okay? In practice, could be different. Anyway, the biggest thing that happened last week, like we said earlier, right? E3 2021. We love games, you love games, everybody loves games. But E3 was, to us at least, was a bit underwhelming.
Yeah, that's putting it mildly. I think E3 this year was very, not to say quiet, but very boring when it comes to new announcements.
Yeah, to be fair, they couldn't do too much about, not having like a physical event. It's a totally purely online event. Okay, it's totally virtual. IGN had like some streams up in their I think their YouTube channel. Okay, even E3 themselves has a live stream for all the announcements, and GameSpot too. But I don't think that's the problem. I really don't think being online is the problem of E3 being boring.
I think the biggest problem with E3 this year was a lot of the announcements they say are for E3. We heard it before E3.
Yes, true. But I don't think that's all also, because a lot of the things that was announced in E3 was kind of not that interesting.
I get
No?
where you're coming from. Yeah, because a lot of it was, I don't know. I found it very, like, the hype for the game isn't there. And a lot of the announcements that they made, like in the case of Xbox, it
Right.
wasn't an announcement of games. It was an announcement of Bethesda games coming to Game Pass.
Yeah, I mean, there was some really interesting stuff that they suddenly showcased, like Halo, right? Halo Infinite.
Yeah.
If you're fans of the Halo series, Halo Infinite is the next installment for Master Chief and his new AI companion, not Cortana anymore. But I think throughout the whole conversation of Xbox, announcing stuff in E3, I actually think that's the only interesting thing that they have. Oh, and they launched a mini fridge, at least. So those are the two things that I was quite excited about on the Xbox, at least the Xbox showcase. I don't know.
For me, I think for Xbox, the thing that I took away from it was, a lot of Bethesda games are going to just be Game Pass and Xbox exclusives now.
Yeah, that was the main takeaway lah, obviously. But
Yeah.
there's still Halo, so. But
I'm interested
also,
to try Halo because it's also coming to the PC and we don't
finally.
have. Yeah, finally. And we don't have access to official like Xbox sets.
Yeah. So
in
if
Malaysia,
you haven't
at
known
least.
yet, in Malaysia we don't actually get official Xbox support. So if the games don't come to PC, we don't get to touch the games at all officially in Malaysia. Of course, you still can get from the shops. Okay, you can still get your Xbox from the shops, but just be prepared lah. It's not technically Malaysian supported. You have to register a Singaporean account. That's the only way for you to play Xbox here. But anyway,
And-
also like a hardware manufacturer like Razer suddenly came to E3 and just announced like, oh, we're announcing a new hardware. We're announcing a new laptop. Basically,
I think
like the Razer
for
Blade
me,
14.
the Razer Blade was actually exciting for me because it's Razer's first AMD laptop. And on top of that, we are seeing them go into spaces that we traditionally don't see many companies go into.
I mean, yeah, it's a new hardware and stuff like that, but I feel like they should have launched it in MWC. They did steal the E3 limelight a little bit, but I felt like it's not really the place for them to launch stuff. I don't know. That's just me.
Well, I think it goes to how Razer has always been marketing themselves as a gamer lifestyle company instead of just a company that does game peripherals. So E3 may not have been the best place for them to do it, but at the same time I understand why they did because
I do
think-
understand why they do it. It's not that I
Yeah.
don't. It's just that is it the right place for them to do it though? Like, wouldn't they get a bit more attention in the upcoming at least MWC? I don't know.
I don't think so because we already know what's coming at MWC and it looks to be like there's going to be a lot coming in from MWC announcements later on this year.
There should be, but I mean, in the sense of hardware and stuff like that, I just don't think E3 is the right place. Anyway, there's also a lot more that happened in E3, but there's also a few I think quite disastrous things, at least we saw from E3. I mean, let's talk about Take-Two's Interactive's E3 stage. Well, not really an announcement. I don't know what to call it actually. Zoom call.
I think it was just a legal press, not really announcement, a legal press statement session. That's about it.
I mean, I did sit through halfway through the Take-Two Interactive session, and they were talking about what they were doing internally to diversify their workforce and things like that. Again, I don't think E3 is the right place for all that. I really don't. Because I think E3 is mostly about games and talking about what kind of games are coming up, about exciting development in the games industry. While yes, that is a sort of development in the games industry, but I don't think is the right place and time to do it. I guess I was expecting a bit more from Take-Two Interactive, at least, I think.
Yeah, I think for Take-Two at least, for me, that really was not the stage to do it. Like, yes, release a press statement, have a press conference, not at E3, especially talking about what they were talking about.
Mm.
And yes, we did want a lot of changes when it comes to how games are developed and stuff like that. But E3 is about the fruits of these game development companies. It's about
Yeah.
their products, not your
Yeah.
company policies.
Yeah. That I can agree as much. So, give us GTA 6.
Yeah, GTA 6, new content for Red Dead Online would have been appreciated as well.
Yeah, but nothing like that happened. I was also quite peeved with Nintendo's. I think among the rest of them, okay, just let me say this. Among the rest of E3, I think the people that has been most successful in terms of, making great announcements and things like that is Nintendo themselves. Okay, we did expect a few big things, which did not really come, but at least they did showcase just games within like 30 minutes to 40 minutes. It's just games after games after games after games being announced just for Nintendo Switch. This includes Monster Hunter Stories? Yeah, Monster Hunter Stories. And they also released new a trailer for Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild 2, which I'm
Yep.
kind of peeved about because I expected to see more of it. Like, I really want to see more of it.
I was actually quite happy that they informed us of something that is happening with Breath of the Wild because they've been quiet for so long. But at the same
I
time, for
understand
me,
why, yeah.
I'm like, you guys need to give us a little bit more. Although I
Yeah.
know we know the story and we love the story with Zelda Breath of the Wild, and we have Hyrule Warriors, but that little bit more would have been a lot of happiness for us.
Yeah, I mean, it would have gotten us a bit more excited, at least for what's coming, right? Because at least I finished Breath of the Wild, the first Breath of the Wild, and I loved it, and I was so looking forward to Breath of the Wild 2. And then I started playing Hyrule Warriors, and I was a bit underwhelmed. To be fair, to be really honest,
I
I
think
just wanted
it's
Breath of the Wild 2.
I think it's also because Hyrule Warriors is a totally different genre of game.
Completely different. It's completely different.
Yeah.
It feels
But
more like Dynasty Warriors than a Zelda game, to be really honest.
I think it is a Dynasty Warriors game because you're basically controlling all these heroes and basically massacring all the goblins
Yeah,
during
goblins,
yeah. But at the
and
same
trying
time,
to navigate through like a very convoluted map.
yeah. But at the same time, I think that it fits the war situation because you need that masses and masses of people that you have to plow through because that's what happened during that age in Zelda.
Yeah, and this was taking place before Breath of the Wild, so it does kind of give a sort of background to Breath of the Wild, I guess, a little bit. But it's not Breath of the Wild, or it doesn't actually feel like Breath of the Wild at all. So if you're planning to pick up the Hyrule Warriors, there are going to be new updates from E3, but don't expect it to be Breath of the Wild. If you want to play Breath of the Wild, buy Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, but at the same time, I think when it comes to Nintendo, they did a pretty good job in teasing Metroid,
Metroid
the new
is coming
Metroid
back.
game.
Yes,
Yeah.
Metroid is coming back.
Dread.
And a few classics, yes. We will be quite excited for those. But we also have yet to see what the game... I mean, we saw the gameplay, but I'm not too sure whether I'm super interested in these type of platformer games. It does look good. That much I can say. It looks good.
Yeah, it does look good, but I think for me, the biggest takeaway from the whole Nintendo thing was they're still very committed to the Switch. They're not
Because-
really deviating from the Switch itself.
No, but also because they haven't said anything about Switch Pro.
Yeah.
We actually expected something along the lines of, oh, we're gonna have like a new Switch that supports 4K TVs or full HD display on the Switch itself with new controllers coming to you in 2022. But I didn't come.
Yeah, but also we actually, when we talked about it immediately after, we were like, it would make more sense for them to announce it later, closer to the end of their fiscal year.
Yeah, and we also thought that they might be holding out Breath of the Wild 2 for the next generation of Nintendo Switch. So that's that, I think.
Yeah, and I also think they kind of showed where the bottleneck for the current Switch is, because we saw Guardians of the Galaxy for PlayStation 5. And
Yeah,
it's also
looks
coming
good.
for the Switch, and the footage they showed from the Switch looks so bad.
Yeah, it
in
looks really good
comparison.
on the PlayStation 5. Also, you have to remember the PlayStation 5 is next-gen console with next-gen technology. The Switch is a little dated, to be really fair, right? So maybe, just maybe, if they do announce a new Switch, you will get backward compatibility, but with better graphics. That's at least the hope lah. Or at least that's kind of what we want to see in a Switch.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. I think everyone wants to see that in a Switch.
No, but at the same time, I think when it comes to the Switch Pro, as is rumored, I think the reason why it didn't get announced might be because they don't have enough silicone at this point.
Maybe. There's a
Eh.
shortage everywhere anyway.
Yeah. And we'll end up with a situation similar to the PS5 where everybody wants one but nobody can get any.
And Xbox.
Yeah.
But it's not just Xbox. The GPUs are in shortage as well. Even CPUs are in shortage in the market. So I was just talking to another friend the other day who wants to build a PC, and I told them, can you wait? Either the question is either are you willing to spend a lot of money, or can you wait? That's the only two questions that you should be answering right now if you're thinking of buying a new console or even buying a new PC. Okay, if you don't mind laptops, that's fine, I guess, because there's still laptops that's going around. But if you're looking to build a PC, I don't think it's the right time, really. Not
Yeah.
next time.
Not
Yeah.
yet.
Yeah. Anyway, I think that is all the time we have for today. And that is all we have for you for today from E3 2021. Next week, actually, we are planning to talk about the gears that we use in our setup and how we set up our podcast, the technology that we rely on for work. Let us know what you think about today's episode and the plan for next week's episode. If you'd like to hear more from us, you can visit our website at www.techent.tv. That is TECHENT.tv. Or feedback to us on our social media as well. We are on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and even Twitter. We are TechEnt TV across all these platforms. We are TECHENT no more dots. TECHENT TV across all our social media. If you're on Google Podcast listening to this, give us a feedback, give us a comment, so that we know what we can do better in the future. If you're listening to this on YouTube, do give some feedback in the comment box. Thank you so much for listening. And this is Darwin and Jeevan signing out. We'll see you next week. Bye.
See ya.